You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. And now your footwear insiders, Matt Priest and Andy Holt.
Welcome back, shoe lovers. This is your podcast, Shoe and Show.
Yeah, it is your podcast. Andy has had like 18 cups of coffee,
That's right.
So we are ready to go.
Woo!
Man, it's going to be fun. We are also taping this to be published live broadcast, to be published at a later date, I should say, at FN Platform here in Las Vegas.
That's right. Twice a year, the industry gathers here.
Yep.
Looking at all types of new shoes and new products. It's going to be launched.
Yeah.
Buyers are going around to the different brands, looking at the different types and styles they have, choosing what they want to put on their floor. So it's really exciting. But even before the shoe gets here, there's a whole process behind that.
There's a whole process.
That's what this podcast is really all about, peeling back the layers of the industry and looking at the business side of it. And we can talk about fashion, of course, but really, before it ever gets to the fashion point, there's got to be an idea behind the product that's getting launched.
There does. And when we talk about fashion, we always have to have Jasmine at the table.
That's true.
Thank God she is here with us as well. What's
Hello,
up, Jasmine? Welcome.
Jasmine's been walking the floor
Yes.
back and forth, looking at all types of different things. So we'll be very excited to hear her thoughts on what's trending right now, what she saw on the floor over the last couple of days. It's really interesting and unique that will be launched in the coming months.
Then
and
she
years.
comes back and scowls at what we're wearing and how we're dressed, and she keeps us. She do okay. All right.
That's the worst.
That's the worst.
That's worse than just being like, that looks ugly. That's like a soft negative comment.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather just have it straight up.
Yeah, just give it to us straight, Jasmine. Don't beat around the bush. Oh my gosh.
My goodness. But
with that, we need some help. It sounds like
we do need some help. No, and we do have a special guest today who they really do start at the very beginning, working with young designers. And even seasoned designers look at trend-forward products, and then really how to craft and design and commercialize that vision to get it to market. So who we got today?
We got Herbert Smith, who is the marketing designer and director at Pensole Academy in Portland, Oregon. Herbert, welcome to the Shoe In Show. Welcome to the.
Thank you guys
You're our
for
first
having me.
victim, so we are glad that you are here and excited to have you here. So tell us, let's start off, let's do this kind of in reverse order. Let's start off with what's Pensole. A lot of our listeners know about it. Mm-hmm. We get emails and people posting things on Pensole, and there's a lot of there's a buzz, which, is something you've been hired to create. There's a buzz behind it. But why don't you tell our listeners what the Academy is, what the role, who founded it, what purpose does it serve? Lay that all on us.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, Pensole is an independent footwear design academy. We're based in Portland, Oregon, and we specialize in teaching aspiring designers the professional and personal development of, being a professional within the footwear industry. So we specialize in 3 different disciplines, one being, which I help teach, is the brand side, which is marketing. So we're open to business or marketing majors, they come in and learn the PLM role, which is like the product line manager. Mm-hmm. So they kind of represent that marketing voice. We also teach footwear design, so we reach out to a lot of industrial designers or product designers, and they then take the story that the brand designer creates and turns that into a physical design. Then we also teach color materials.
Cool.
So for those of you that don't know, color materials is a huge job opportunity that is in demand currently. A lot of employers are seeking color material designers, and they help bring everything to life. So
one look at the wall at Foot Locker lets you know what's going on
sure.
the color side within design. Absolutely. So how did Pensole come about? What's, we all know, we know the story, but why don't you lay it on our listeners? Who's Dwayne, and what's, how did he come up with this idea, and take us from there?
Yeah, so Pensole was founded in 2010 by Dwayne Edwards. He was the former design director of Jordan Brand. And, as a director in that role for quite some time, he noticed that it was a bit challenging to, hire designers that were ready. Hired a lot of talented designers, but, they weren't so used to the professional life. They were used to the academic life. So he decided to step down and create his own academy, which taught professional development as well as personal development. So over the years, having students go through his program, also built this large database of mentors. And so a lot of what we teach is based on mentorship. So, professionals are coming in, working one-on-one with the students, giving them real insights of what the professional life is like. So a lot of our alumni are then able to graduate and translate easily into that professional working environment.
And that's so important because we see the same thing that you guys are seeing. We've got a lot of folks out there who have gone to places like Fashion Institute and have a great fashion eye and have a great vision and a great mind, but is not always paired with the commercial side. Taking that vision and making it a reality is not as easy as everybody thinks. And then you add to that the material side, which you guys are focusing in on, and we see the same thing. The technical know-how and materials is lacking in our industry. It really is. And it's coming at a crucial time when material innovation is at its peak.
For sure.
I mean, there's stuff coming out that, guys who have been working in the industry for 30 years are like, I need some help with this because it's technically I'm not sure how this even functions with the shoe. Yeah. I'm not sure how to properly identify it, and all those things that go along with it. So it's a huge need and a huge win for our industry to have someone like Pensole who is sitting there and is the nexus between bringing people in and saying, all right, you have the ability. Here's the know-how to make it a reality. So congratulations to you guys for what you're doing. How many students do you guys normally have? Is it and then what are your courses like? Or can you take a one-off course, or is it a program that's set up?
Yeah, so I'm glad that you mentioned that. We do partner with certain schools, so we do have partnerships with like FIT, with Parsons, Art Center. But we host our own classes based in Portland, and so we do a variety of classes. We either do a 3-week course, which is an intensive course. We call them our master classes, and those are taught in partnership with brands. And so a brand would typically sponsor a master class, and so we'd fly out students from FIT or international students, and they'll come for a 3-week crash course that will take them from a brief from the brand all the way to a final product that they would then pitch to the brands. And we also offer 12-week courses. So we just started a new partnership with PNCA, the Pacific Northwest College of Art, and that is a 12-week course. So a little bit more in depth, just as intense if you ask me. But this one is in partnership with 10 different brands. So we work with brands from Nike all the way to Cole Haan, so getting the sports performance all the way to some of the fashion casual. And that one is based in Portland at PNCA. So our class size ranges from about 18 to 30.
Okay.
Yeah, and we do about 8 classes a year.
It's a lot of hands-on then. Small class sizes. You get more folks coming in where you can work one-on-one with the students.
Very much so. So if it were a brand-sponsored class, typically they'll work one-on-one with the brands, as well as our 12-week course with the 10 brands. Each of those 10 brands offer 2 to 3 mentors for those students. So it's a great interaction, great visibility to the brands, great way to understand that brand that, then in turn is looking to hire you. So,
tell me this, how do you create the buzz that you've created? What are some of the channels you use to find students, prospective students? How do you get the mentors plugged in? How do you kind of generate that buzz that you've been so effective at generating?
Yeah, I think we all share this common goal of making the industry better, and I think it is important to our partners that we work with as well as the industry as a whole to understand, things are better when we work together. Yeah. And so we're based on partnerships, so we do a lot of collaborations, whether that's a brand-sponsored class. We just did a TV show. It's called Lace Up. It's on YouTube Red with Adidas as well as 10 by 10 Entertainment. So that was a great way for us to, publicize what we do as well as educate people that are interested in this culture or interested in this business and give them an inside look of product creation. So that was one way to get the word out, which was great. And then we also do contests, and a lot of different social media like back and forth. So whether that's us doing tutorials, whether that's doing an online contest, whether that's being somewhere like FN Platform. So we do an annual FN Platform challenge. It's called FNPC. So if you hashtag FNPC or FNPC18, which we're doing this year, you'll be able to see a lot of the submissions that we did for this current contest.
And what were some of the things that stuck out to you as far as kind of trend analysis on the submissions that came in with this year's contest?
Yeah, it's awesome to speak directly to the people. Like, going through businesses, you get a lot of kind of like a top-down view of, what the trends are, setting some of these trends. But, you get an immediate reaction when you are up on Instagram and you're, talking to some people that are kind of creating this culture. And a lot of them are dictating. You get a lot of conceptual stuff. So, a lot of it is fashion forward, but being able to see, there's this weird backward lacing trend that's going on right now.
Oh, yeah?
I'm seeing a lot of designers.
Jasmine shaking her head.
Yeah,
yes. She probably has 8 pairs already.
Probably.
She's been on that trend for a year now.
Yeah,
That's old. That's old hat. To her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, I just saw, Nike did like a backwards Air Force One, like super high. So it could be a cue coming from like women's heels that they lace up the heels backwards. Yeah, but. Yeah, it's some interesting trends out there. Definitely check it out. You can use the hashtag 21 Days of Design, and that has a lot of new concepts designed by some of our followers. So
very interesting. What about you said that you focus on helping with the branding and the marketing side when you're training students. Is it getting harder to cut through the noise in today's world? We have all these channels now, and they're great, and there's a lot of followers. We don't know if they're bots or real people to a certain extent, maybe. Yeah. But when you're talking to these emerging, whether they're brand managers or designers just trying to launch their own product, what are some tips that you tell them? Is it like stay true to who you are, stay authentic, but also should they be on every single thing that's out there, or should they focus their efforts on something in particular that maybe in footwear there's a particular visual or a particular channel that really connects with brands?
There are dudes posting stuff on LinkedIn. On my LinkedIn feed's like nonstop designers post, and there's a guy at Nike who I guess does stuff on the side. He's posting stuff all the time.
So I'm just wondering, what do you see, and what are some ideas that you could just throw out to some folks?
Yeah, I think it's very important to stay engaged and continue to get yourself out there, but just be cautious and aware of what you're putting out there. We teach our students, a lot of brands are using this as an outlet to kind of vet some of the people that are coming into their company. So if you have, if you have your private stuff, my advice is to keep it private.
Yep.
But whatever you choose to display publicly, just know that employers are watching that, and that's essentially your brand. So be careful how you brand yourself.
That's good advice.
If you want to be taken as a professional, make sure that you're, making moves to, show yourself in that light.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's definitely needed in this day and age, and I think people aren't aware what that effect can lead to in terms of
to a certain extent. I think especially younger people coming up, because when we were coming up, we didn't have cell phones, and then we emerged, and so I think the socialization to the fact that the phone is an extension of themselves naturally leads to challenges they don't think about, right? They just think naturally they can post it and it's fine.
Not your entire self should be extended.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we look at it as just educating them that how the hiring process works internally a lot of times. And, back in the day, there was a reference. You would leave a reference, and, you have to call your reference. But now your social media is your reference. Like, if we want to know what you look like or what, type of stuff you're interested in, like who you are as a person, what activities you're involved in, that's all public now. So. Yeah, just being aware.
Let me ask you this. There's something, and we spend a lot of time in Portland. The Portland community is amazing. We've had a number of companies on Keene and Danner over the years. And
Columbia, which had Columbia,
that's
CEO
right.
on.
We had Tim Boyle on. We always ask kind of this question, what is it about Portland that really creates this creative culture, if you will? One of my favorite hip-hop album brands or record labels is Humble Beast. They're there. There are all these footwear companies there. There are these artists. What is it about the culture there that attracts so much creative talent?
Yeah, I think just proximity, being able to be close to a lot of these, drivers of the industry, whether that is, beasts like, Nike or Adidas, as well as, some of these larger marketing firms. Like we have Wyden and Kennedy out there. They're responsible for a lot of great marketing that's out there. So I think it's more of proximity, You have people leaving jobs. You have people coming to Portland to get jobs. And, some of these people don't come immediately and get a job and get placed. They find some of these, smaller agencies to work for while getting exposure. So a lot of it is just, just being close to where everything's happening.
Are there design agencies that service the footwear industry that are independent agencies or designers that camp out in Portland that kind of feed in? How's that process work? Because that's something we haven't really explored. And what's kind of the underbelly of the third party design culture as it feeds into these brands? Yeah,
I mean, there's tons of different job opportunities, and the smaller agencies is definitely like a route to go. A lot of people have that vision of the bigger brands, but what they don't know is that the bigger brands tend to use these smaller agencies. So you have agencies from design, from digital, from production. So when you're looking at a booth like this or a trade show like this, they're working with some of these smaller agencies to contract some of that creative, to contract that production out. So that's great visibility to the brand, to be able to say, hey, I worked at this agency, and them being completely familiar with that, also just gives you a leg up. So definitely proximity is like key. And if you're looking to get into footwear, I say if it's not Portland, Boston might be the next.
But let's face it, it's Portland. I mean, if you want to be into that.
I mean, I like it because it's cheaper to live out there, right? For sure. And man.
What's your shoe story? What do you mean? So let's back the truck up. What's your shoe story? How did you get to Pensole? How did you get involved? Because I think you have, you're not just a professional that works there. You have your own story with Pensole. So tell us about that.
Yeah, for sure. So I think my story is very similar to a lot of the people that we reach out to and we connect with. Growing up in Los Angeles, didn't have a lot of outlets to creativity, didn't have a lot of exposure to design and what that was. And so I looked at everything as art, so I liked art. I was very, quote unquote, artistic. Typically the story that you get in South Central, being African American, is you're either going to play sports or you're going to do some other type of activities. And so I always saw sports as like that outlet. And so I was like the artsy sport guy, right. And so that was kind of like,
those are in conflict with each other somewhat.
But what do you do with that, right? And so I found my entry in through retail, which is a great entry point. Like if you don't have education, definitely just get as well versed with the product first. So I suggest anyone that isn't currently going to school for design, just try the retail route and get familiar with product. And through that, I was working at Adidas. And I met an apparel designer from Adidas during one of his trips. And he told me about Portland. He was like, oh, yeah, that's where the headquarters is.
The land of milk and honey.
So, he just, the way he described it was like, heaven. So I was like, all right, I got to make it there. He told me he went to one of the art institutes in Portland. And so I looked up the school. They had an industrial design program. He was part of the apparel program. So that was like my introduction. I was like, what is industrial design, right? It was a perfect merger of my two passions, which was sport and art, right? So learning that, you can take your artistic talents and apply that to design and apply that to sports really got me into footwear design, which then led me to, Google footwear design. And if you Google footwear design, I believe Pensole is the #1 hit. So
really,
and just like I said, proximity. The Art Institute was literally like 4 blocks away from Pensole, and
that's awesome.
So then you went to Pensole. What'd you do at Pensole? What was your coursework?
So I applied to Pensole like several times and got rejected.
Wah,
And,
wah,
yeah.
What were
And-
the requirements?
I'm sorry?
What were the requirements for it?
So we have 3 requirements, and that depends on what sector you're applying for. So if it's for brand, you have to have a go-to-market strategy. And at that point, I was like, what is a go-to-market? And for footwear design, you just simply have to submit a sketch. And it's not known like right away in terms of everything that we're looking for in terms of a sketch, but definitely looking for people to go above and beyond. So the lowest barrier entry is just submit a sketch, but the idea is to kind of, surpass that, right?
Yeah.
And for color materials, you needed to do a global color palette and a mood board that influences that. So those are pretty much the staples of what your discipline is within Pensole. And so it's very competitive. We get thousands of submissions, and we can only accept 18 at a time. So getting rejected is part of it, and we've all gotten rejected. So for those of you listening, don't get discouraged. Just continue. And that's what I did, and it eventually got in through brand, and found my passion within brand, but then also applied a recurring time to footwear design, and I got into a class that we did in Denmark. So we did a 4-week class in Denmark with the design school of Kolding.
That's cool.
Echo. So if you guys aren't familiar, Echo is a great heritage brand based in Denmark.
Yep.
And they own their own facilities. They were able to give students access to the facilities. They pretty much shut down for like a day, like their development
really
department.
cool.
And we worked with pattern makers, developers, as well as shoemakers, the people that sewed the shoes. So we got our own prototypes made in like $1 billion companies like
That's
factory.
awesome.
Like that was an experience that you can't.
So was
get anywhere else.
your original submission, the one that was accepted, you still have that?
Yeah, I do.
And are you still proud of it? Because there's times I'm a writer and I'll write something, I'll go back and I'm like, yeah, that was pretty good. And I'm like, that was crap. How do you feel about your original submission now that you've been through the program and now that you work there and are such a part of the administration of the program itself?
Yeah, what is cool is that my original submission is now the photo of my business card.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so when I hand that over to people, they're like, "Oh, what is this?" And
is that something we can share with our listeners?
Sure, yeah.
It's better than our business card.
Exactly.
I'm far better now than when I submitted, but it's definitely like a growing process. We grow with the students.
That's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, constantly learning, and one of our quotes is it's a quote from Bruce Lee, but it's "empty your cup," meaning that we go into every situation as open as possible and not coming with a load full of knowledge and not being able to accept anything or take anything away from that. So any partnership that we're doing, we're learning about the companies, we're learning about the brand, and that's truly the best way that we can help service them. So.
Yeah. Then he said, "Now I'm going to beat your ass." Is that what he said?
No, it's
What about what's coming down the pike that we can look forward to in the next year, so that you guys are working on? Maybe tease something for us that is exciting you about what work you guys are doing, and maybe just touch on that real quick before we flip it to Jasmine and we get educated.
Exactly. Speaking of education,
before I dump my cup out and get educated at a different level.
Hey, it works, man. It's a great way to connect with people.
It is a great way to connect with people.
But we've got a lot of things coming up. We have the World Sneaker Championship, which is our biggest competition. So last year, I think we got close to like 20,000 submissions worldwide. Yeah, and that is a competition that we host with Foot Locker.
Okay. Did somebody get a championship belt?
Yeah,
WWF?
get a championship belt.
Oh,
awesome.
man, that is awesome.
$20,000.
That's even better. That is even
Get your
better.
shoe made and sold at Foot Locker worldwide.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
enter.
a great competition.
Yeah.
It's free to enter,
Get the sketch.
free to vote, free to participate.
I will not vote for you, Andy.
Yeah. That one's coming up in March. So
They can look online at
you can actually submit via worldsneakerchampionship.com.
World Sneaker Championship.
I have to think if you get 20,000 entries. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
You get 20,000. There's got to be a lot of crap in there. I mean, there's a ton of talent, but there's got to be like, yeah, I'm really into shoes, and they sketch something out in 5 minutes and they submit it. Have you ever had one of those? Like really?
Yeah. We get we get submissions of all levels, and we're continuing to try to develop more curriculum that can be shared online, so people will understand.
Provide some guidance.
Yeah. So whether that's a template, we have templates online if you guys need some help. But
mine would definitely be a knockoff. I would definitely plagiarize somebody. Probably use the business card and redo.
He'd have a pump on it. He'd have a swoosh, a pump, the 3 stripes,
and the gel from Grandmama. I'm going old school.
LJ. Yep.
Yeah, we've
Larry
got
Johnson.
We got a brief. Yeah, they can download the brief. So it doesn't include all those brands, but yeah.
You would fail.
What else is going on?
We're also looking to launch a high school program
that's
during
awesome.
the summer. Yeah. So we'll do another online competition. Obviously, it's hard to get to everyone, so we look at online as a great platform to get kids engaged, as well as like downloadable curriculum that schools can download and use to teach their students. So
that's awesome, because there's so many artistic kids in school that are not interested in certain subjects. They have to learn it, and that's fine. But if we really want to keep education going strong in this country, we've got to find some ways to give some outlets to these folks. So that's great.
Yeah, before we flip it to Jasmine, what's kind of one thing, when you think about yourself as a kid in South Central, trying to figure out, I'm a creative guy, how do I channel that? What's one thing you would say to like your younger self, to, like one piece of advice so that you can make sure you get to where there's got to be a lot of kids and or like you're like creative, but maybe not in an environment that fosters that. So
yeah, for sure, I would definitely tell them to check out Pensole. I feel like if I would have known about or had something like this, especially like our high school program, I would have been a lot more prepared.
Right.
As well as learning how to channel that energy. Yeah. Because there's a big difference between art and design.
Right.
And just having that exposure earlier, like design thinking helps you problem solve, right?
Yeah.
So learning how to critical think and applying design to the rest of my life or the early years of my life, I think that would have been great.
That would have been
awesome.
Great.
Well, with that, we are going to flip it to Jasmine, and we're going to do our world famous fashion footwear.
Her world famous. Yeah, exactly.
Jasmine!
DJ
Okay, so
Jazzy Pendergrass, what's up?
I've been looking, first, everywhere I've been, like all of the booths that I've been at when I was walking around have integrated sneakers.
Yep.
Even I was at the Sorel booth, and they have sneakers coming out next, which I thought was like really interesting because you don't really know them to have sneakers.
Yeah,
So,
Sorel's got the sneakers.
Yeah, so I feel like everybody's integrating sneakers into their collections. But what I've been really pleased with, like recently, is the collaboration, the brand collaboration, and just going back to what you were saying about how having a company sponsor your classes, that really helps the marketing for your academy. So I think that helps also with a lot of the shoe brands, and I'm really starting to like how they're incorporating the DNA of whoever they're collaborating with. So sure. LeBron James has a collaboration with Kith and Nike. The 3 of them are collaborating, and he has the Long Live the King collection. And I really have been impressed with like the designs that they're coming with. I love how his is like the fly knit uppers, but they're more textured. They also have like the branded straps on the top of them. So I'm really starting to like actually want to purchase some of these collaborations. Sure. Nice. Off-White has another new collection with Nike coming out this year.
The Off-White stuff's awesome.
Yeah, I love how clean the Off-White brand is, and like when you see those Nikes and their collaboration, you really see the DNA of Off-White, and if you have any other pieces, they definitely go with whatever you have in your closet. Jack Daniels has a collaboration with Nike, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, for sure, that is interesting. I wonder what that.
There we go.
And they're brown, but they're not old looking, but they kind of have like this rustic feel
They
to it.
fill the airbags with liquor. That's
Probably.
There definitely should be a mini bottle that
That's
comes with that purchase. But is there any collaborations that have come out, within the past year that you really have enjoyed? Like, because I'm really starting to like.
Oh yeah. I'm here with a shameless plug, but we just did a collaboration with Adidas and James Harden.
Oh,
that
wow.
was a great one.
Okay.
That's cool.
We've got a Asics collaboration coming out,
Okay.
as well as New Balance collaboration. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me think of some other brands just so I can give people some love.
Go ahead and shout them out.
No, I do like what Kith is doing. They've got some pretty cool collaborations. I like, Adidas and Pharrell. I think that collaboration.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
awesome.
one of my faves.
And
Yeah.
expensive.
Very
But awesome.
expensive. And very exclusive, but
Yeah.
Pharrell has this style that's like very noticeable in
Yeah.
the industry, so I think it only makes sense. Yeah.
And he did it with Chanel too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and those were awesome. Keeping that same DNA of Chanel of having it clean, but the logo on the front.
But
so.
it's just total. It's worlds collide. It's a world that you would never have thought of in
Yeah.
traditional collaboration.
Right.
It's unbelievable. Herbert, this has been awesome,
Yeah.
man. You're doing, when it comes to the footwear world, you're doing the Lord's work. Keep it up, man. This is awesome.
Yep.
FDRA is committed to Pensole. We endorse the program. We've started to put more resources behind it, both thought leadership where we're needed, but also some financial resources.
Yep.
So we're going to be doing some more. Speaking of collaborations, we're going to
Yep.
be doing some more stuff. It won't be to the Chanel level, but nevertheless, we can't thank you enough for
It'll be
joining
for
us.
Yeah.
the people. Yeah.
Exactly, for the people.
That's right.
Before we go, what's your website address so people can check it out?
Yeah, so you guys can check us out on www.pensole.com.
All right.
If you're interested in the World Sneaker Championship, check us out at www.worldsneakerchampionship.com.
There you go. If you want to win the belt, you got to get in the game.
That's right, man.
$1,000.
All right, folks, as always, thank you so much for listening. We're covering the ins and outs of the footwear industry. Today we had a great conversation about the starting point.
Yep.
How ideas become reality, and before these shoes ever get out here on the floor that we look at,
Yep.
there are people out there who are trying to get their designs seen, and you got people like Herbert and Pensole trying to help those people make it a reality. So definitely check it out, Pensole. Check out the Sneaker World Championship. And until next time, Shoe-In is out.
Shoe-In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.